just love the drama.
Biggest U-turn since winter fuel allowance.
Cut that.
Because loose lips, sink ships.
And what the fans want is to stop teams being owned by madmen.
Listen, you're really making a mess here. You're not doing what you're supposed to be doing. We're getting really cross with you.
Sticky patch came when the rest of the team's sticky patch came, which was sort of January onwards.
Grumble, boobs joke, hot ones.
No, let me tell you, I don't have to look at this objectively at all.
The Wednesday week!
Put on your podcast!
Hello, good evening, and welcome to another episode of the Wednesday week. We've had a lot happen in the last 12 hours. We've had a lot happen over the weekend, and we're going to try and get through it. We've had football, we've had statements from the mascot, and we've also had another day where we're in the news for the worst things. Joining us later on will be Alex Miller from the Sheffield Star. He'll be on in about half an hour's time, while gives us opportunity to get through the football that happened at S6. Joining me right now, I've got John, Simon, and Ash. John, how's your weekend? All right?
Yeah, very good, thanks. We had a bit of some late summer weather there, didn't we? Even though it's officially autumn now, we had some nice bit of sunshine, especially yesterday. So out and about. So yeah, we're not too bad at all, mate.
Yeah, I tell you what, it's that time of year though where you go out wearing a jacket and then you've left it in the car or you've left it at work by about 11 o'clock in the morning. What about you, Simon? How's the cold weather settling in there? You all right? Have you got immersion on?
No, I've not put heating on yet. Not October yet, mate. Hence why you Southerner have got your shirt on and I've got my hoodie on, mate. Everybody's having to wrap up in the Smith Hill household.
I'm glad you made reference to the shirt. I tell you what, I'm for those listening, I'm wearing a replica of the 2012 shirt, and on the back of it, I've got a homage to Gary Medine goal machine. And I remember buying this when it first came out. I thought, yeah, I'll get myself an extra large. I tell you what, it is snug. This was the first one where I realised that football shirts had changed forever, and I'm going to be breathing in all night. So my apologies if I'm short of breath. Ashley, how was your weekend? All right.
Yes, mate. Very good. Thank you very much, Daniel. Back at Hillsborough. Yeah, so it's good. Yeah. Nothing else to report. Bit of a quiet one for myself. So, yeah, mate, all good. All good.
I like your little move around there, Ash. Looks like you've changed your background, so we haven't got the Chancery shirts in the background with the gaffer tape on.
Now, Lewis has decided to have a bit of a change around when I went to work one day, and he's changed all the office round. So, yeah, he's... I don't know why he's done it, but he reckons it looks nicer. So there we go.
Well, in the background there are the infamous George Byers shorts. What size are they again?
I think they're small, mate. They are small.
Says a lot about the Port Vale midfielder, doesn't it? But anyway, let's get into it. Coming up over the weekend was our home game against Queen's Park Rangers, John. What were your thoughts going into it? Did you feel like we could snag a point? I'll tell you what, we should start getting the predictions up, shouldn't we, on this, Ash? Do you want to download them while we've got them, and then we can go through who said what?
Yeah, man. Why not?
Yeah, let's do it. John, what were you thinking? And bear in mind, we're going to come with the receipts now, so you can't
absolutely. Yeah. Nowhere to run, is there? But yeah, I thought. I just thought we're just struggling at home again, aren't we? Still a bit like we did last season, even towards end of rules tenure, we're starting to struggle at home. So even though we'd had that nice result at Pompey, I was thinking QPRs. I think they're on decent form as well. I think the inform table, they were quite up there, and I put us down. I think for a 2-1 loss. I fancied them to just edge us, just because we just struggled at home, haven't we? So I think that's what I was expecting.
You're dead right. They got absolutely trounced 7-1 by Coventry, and then won the next 3 after that. So they were coming in full pomp. They were having a hell of a time of it. Looking back, there might be a point where we go, actually, that was a good result. Seeing where they go afterwards. Simon, let's get into the starting 11. We've got Horvath, Valerie, Weaver, Iorfa, Maxlow, Amas, Palmer, Ingleson, Bannon, Cadamarteri, and Brown. It's nice to see that Weaver and Brown are starting to get an extended run in the team, and we've gone for 2 up front as well, which I kind of like.
Yeah, I think it's deserved, isn't it, after performance at Portsmouth last weekend.
Mm-hmm.
Although we were saying in the car, I don't want to spark you off already, Dan, in regards to a certain player who's not scored for a while. But we were saying what are Jamal Lowe and Hey Ugbo doing wrong in training. And basically, my words to my mate were, well, maybe they're just shit, and the players he's picking are the best ones. You know, simple as that. You know, he's picking them on the fact of, you know, we've got a threadbare squad. If they are better than some of our more established senior players, then they're the players we're going to play, aren't they?
It's as simple as that. I thought Brown and Weaver specifically against Portsmouth deserved a bit of a run out. I must admit, I thought they were. I thought what they did and how they did it was really impressive for such young men. And we spoke last week about Weaver commanding the defence a little bit and telling people where to be, and telling people like Dominic where to be, Ash, as well. I tell you what, the first incident of the game was the goal. Ash, we scored from a set piece, brother.
I know. It's 2 in 2 games, isn't it? Because you obviously direct from a set piece from Bannon last week at Portsmouth. So we're on a roll, aren't we? It's not. We've not seen it for a few years, have we? We've been notoriously poor defending and attacking at set pieces. So it's been great. And obviously, Bannon was there again, great crossing. And I tell you what, it was a cracking header, weren't it? It was everything you want from a 6'4" centre half attacking the ball. Keeper come for it, and he would know where he was going to get anywhere near it. And Dom Iorfa, instead of coming off his 50p head and going into row X, it went into the back of that and bulged through the onion bag, as they say, Daniel.
I tell you what, you know, a lot of chat goes on about the header, but I also need to give some props, John, to Barry Bannon and his cross. That was, you know, for somebody who over the years has took a lot of flack for not beating the first man on the corner and all the rest of it, that was a big monster, deep, probing cross. I thought it was beautiful.
It were inch perfect. It were like a quarterback pass, weren't it? When they get somebody on a deep fly and just drops it.
Not that we've seen any of that this season, John, from the Miami Dolphins.
No, but Bannon's crossing was great. I thought pretty much all game at the weekend. All the corners beat the first man, which is obviously, you know, I mean, that should be a standard. But you know what it's been like down at Hillsborough. We've had these corners and they don't beat first man, and everyone's, you know, getting a bit rubbed up wrong way and that. But yeah, it was a beautiful cross. Keeper had no business even trying to get it, did he? We're never going to get that. I thought there were another one which we'll come on to later on as well, which were a bit of what I call a bit of a cheeky delivery, which we'll come on to later on in the analysis. But yeah, it were an inch perfect cross. Dom's just got to put it. You just got to put it on target, and it's a goal, which he did, thankfully. And nice for them lot down there. I'm still waiting for a cop end goal. I don't know about anyone else. Actually, when do we going to get a cop end goal, mate? You know.
I'm just happy we got one at home, a goal. And I'll take it coming from anywhere in any end. Oh, don't clip that.
Clip that. I like the. It's weird sat on the cop. I don't know if anybody else knows it, but I know I've mentioned it a few times on this show. But there's an extra 5 or 6 yards that, if you sat low down enough in the cop, you don't know how long the pitch is. And like, there's some goals that have been scored from a long way out, a lot further out than I've actually anticipated. It's like anything from the 6-yard box to the goal, John. I don't know how high up in the cop you are, but Ash, do you get that depth perception issue?
No, I'm on what am I, row 21, so I'm quite far up. So
right.
It's pretty brutal, and my eyesight is crap anyway, so it doesn't really matter to me. Mate.
You just go with the crowd.
I go with the crowd. So goal, yep, right. And about 10 milliseconds later, I'm climbing out of my seat to clap them. But yeah, mate, yeah, I do understand, especially where you sit and where I used to sit. It's I quite like it. And you're at the angle on the little corner bit. It's
you get to see some sights.
It used to be worse, didn't it, when the slope was there? Because when I used to stand and sit on the cop, it almost disappeared the goal in front of the away end with the sort of curvature of the pitch. So, but I've got a perfect where the prawn sandwiches are served. The view is beautiful.
and that's why that's why it's an extra £350 a year. But you know what I mean. Let's get into all that nonsense later on.
And then a week later, it's £400, and a week later, it's £450. You know, we know how it goes.
What's that Paul Ferrugia said? 5 yards is only an inch on the telly. Well, I have many jokes that I am not going to pull the thread out here. I've done really well. What you're witnessing is growth there from Dan Fudge, ladies and gents. Talk Sports changed me. Let's get the predictions up here, ladies and gents. So Holly went with a 3-1 loss. Ash went with 1-1. John went with the 2-1 loss. I went with 1-1. Simon went with a 2-1 loss. Stevie went with a 1-0 loss, and Charlie went with a 2-all. Desmond. Ash, big points for me and you there. That never happens. That's the first and only one that I've ever got right after the 2 years we've been doing this. So get in. Right, where am I?
Is that why you asked for them to be put up, Dan?
I tell you what, it's dawned on me the last few weeks that I should have them ready, and yeah, do the social maths on it, kids.
just happened to be the week that Dan gets it spot on for the first time.
I know it's weird. I can't believe how that's fallen. That's absolutely crazy. Oh my god!
Do you want me to get the actual prediction league up, or should we just not? Should we wait for another week?
Is that because you're top?
By quite a while, Simon.
Yes, I want
quite a margin.
I want a steward's inquiry on that. Right then, next up, 48 minutes. Oh, was it 45 plus 3, if I remember? I can't remember. I'm absolutely terrible with this type of thing. But the next one was the penalty shout, wasn't it? Simon, I'll come to you on this one. There was only 2 players on their side that actually appealed for it that were facing CAD straight away. But just run us through it, because I'm trying to...
Is this the Palmer hand? This is the Palmer handball. Yeah. Yeah. No.
It is.
It is. Yeah. It is, but it isn't.
Oh, was it Cadamarcha?
Yeah, it was Cads.
Cads. No way. It doesn't really matter because it wasn't a penalty in a million years for me. But sorry, Simon. Go on.
I'm lost here because sorry, I'm doing a proper penalty. What penalty, Jeff?
What's that, Jeff?
Is this prior to their penalty that they scored? Was there another one before?
Yes.
That I don't remember. Sorry, you have to go to somebody else because I was obviously snoozing at that one point.
He was scabbing buying Pikes and Pines, ladies and gents. You've heard it here first.
Don't.
I would have been, but they were all shut. So
yeah. That's actually an interesting one, isn't it? And we'll probably get onto that later on. Ash, I tell you what. Do you want to talk about the penalty shout?
Yeah, I don't. It's an harsh one, isn't it? I mean, I don't think so. Was it? Would you? No, I don't think it was a penalty. Honestly, I don't see what the issue was. To be honest, I know that's. It's hard because there's not really anything to talk about. I don't think it was what I saw of it, and like I said, my eyes are shite, especially at that far end.
I thought it was a stonewall. I feel like he's jumped up with his arm flailing, which is something, we all know now that the rule is, you can't be in an unnatural position. And the VAR, for example, if that was prevalent, excuse me, a bit of windy pops. If the VAR was prevalent, they'd have gone, it's an unnatural position. He's got his arm out. The ball's come across. It's hit the defender. He's headed it goalwards. And I mean, don't get me wrong. It's a quarter of a second between head and arm. And there's not really much he can do about it, Si.
What's the... Oh, sorry, go. Sorry. I was just going to say, what's the distance you've got? What distance can you literally... Someone heads a ball at you and you can physically not do anything.
We are talking about the penalty that was given. It wasn't a penalty, in my opinion, from what I saw of it. I actually thought it was Palmer. It was against Palmer, but it was Cads, was it? No, I don't think it was a penalty. It wasn't a penalty. No, not at all. But look, we had one given against us against Luton last year where it hit. Deschamps Bernard in a position up here. I think a couple of guys have noted here that the referee was just so poor. He was poor, and this was a guy who was a Premier League and also a European Cup referee, and some of the decisions were abysmal, absolutely abysmal.
The referee did come under some scrutiny. What about you, John, on the penalty shout? Where do you stand on it? I think that's just the rules. I don't, sometimes there's an element of, is the rule correct? Like offside. I'm a bloke in my 40s now. I've got no idea what constitutes as offside anymore. I'm losing track. But yeah, what about where do you stand on that?
I find it really strange with the handball rule because it's so ambiguous in a lot of ways. Because there's times where if you're a defender, well, not even a defender, if you're just in the box defending and a ball comes up, your natural way of jumping is to put your arms out to get leverage into it to jump. I mean, no one jumps with their arms down by the side like that unless they're like Olympics and into a diving pool. So your natural thing is to stick your arms out. But so he's jumped up. He can't even see the ball. He's got his back turned to it. Guy heads the ball onto his arm, which is up in the air, because that's how that's what you do to get leverage to jump. So I'm a little bit like, how do you say that that's handball? I mean, to me, handball should be deliberate. It should, and it's not, is it? If he's doing that, I just think it's a bit harsh.
And as you alluded to, Dan, I think there was only one or two of QPR players actually shouted for it.
Yeah,
and they were closer. If it had been absolutely blatant, then you would have had uproar. I find it ridiculous.
I think Kanemaru's unlucky where it hit him on the arm, because there is an element of shoulder. You know what I mean? But it's just a couple of inches the other side, right? I get that. But I think you're putting your life in your own hands by jumping up with your arms out in the box. Now, I agree with you, John. Jumping up with your arms out is a natural position. And I've now got Ash and Simon doing a salmon impression at me. Like, you know what I mean? Just arms by the side. And I completely understand it is natural to put your arms up while you're jumping, but the interpretation of the rule is that anything you can score with is essentially your entire body without your it comes from the edge of your shoulder down to your armpit, right? It's like a little diagonal line, constitutes as handball. And that's kind of what it is. That's the rule. Do I agree with it? Not so much. Would I be aggrieved if it didn't go the other way? I'd be absolutely bloody raging. I'd be like, that is an handball. You know what I mean? I feel like that's the rules a little bit. And I know it's a boring answer, but it just kind of is. But
I think with the
you
handball,
go back to. Sorry, John. Go on.
Sorry, mate. No, go on, Ash. Go on.
I think you go back to obviously what we saw. I know it's the Premier League. You look at the Arsenal-Newcastle game yesterday, the one that hit the Newcastle player. He comes sliding in the area, his arms up like that, the ball hits him, and it's not a penalty.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Or is it a penalty? Do you know what I mean? So you've got, I know we're in the Championship, we haven't got VAR, and we're comparing a different league, but the rules are still the rules. It doesn't matter if you're in the Premier League or if you're playing Sunday League football. They are the rules, aren't they? But then you do look at that and go, well, and someone's put in the chat, interpretation, it's up to one man at that time to come with his explanation of what. And I just can't see how he can make that decision of the ball hitting the Wednesday player at a nanosecond after he's headed it and being any sort of control of purposely handballing it. I just can't get it. It's doing me head in, just keep thinking about it.
It is this in the intention, isn't it? At the end of the day, like John was saying, he's jumped up in the air, unlike a salmon. His arm's there, the ball's been headed against it. It's not as if he's actually diverted his arm in the way of the path of the ball to prevent it.
I agree with that bit. I agree with that bit.
And that was the fundamental of where handball came from, is that fact of intentionally, and we've all seen it, haven't we? Intentionally, purposefully trying to hand the ball away, slap it away, etc. But in that particular case, and I think this is the problem what VAR has brought into the game, and we could go on for ad infinitum of this, is the fact that you get these people sort of debating whether it's handball or not handball for Premier League referees while they can't make a decision because they're relying on VAR. And so they go, oh, well, and they slow it down and speed it up and slow it down. Did he intentionally control the ball with his arm, his hand? No, he didn't. It's not a penalty.
Do you remember when you used to play as a kid and something hit you and you got no, it weren't. It was ball to hand. It dawned on me. I was in my 20s before I realised that was never an actual rule. That was never written down anywhere. That was never a rule. It was just something we just said because I used to say, I'm playing men's football. I'm going a ball to hand, ref. Never been a thing. Never been a thing.
I think with the handball thing, I think we've just got to, and I agree with what you're saying on with VAR and stuff. VAR was only we've not got it in Championship right now. Whether it comes or not remains to be seen. But I think we don't. If it does come, I don't think something like that. I think you just got to live and die with what the ref decides on stuff like that. There's no point. There's no point going to a replay and having guys in a truck 50 miles away or whatever. Slowing things down, different camera angles. Unless it's a clear and obvious, like he stopped it going in with a goal with his hand, and then he'd be sent off and it'd be a penalty, whatever. You've just got to live and die with what the ref chooses to interpret it as. And sad, on another day, he might not give it. And on another day, if that were us, we might be up in arms if it's not being given for us. So we just got to take it on the chin, haven't we?
Ash, what are those comments about Keith Hackett there? I saw a couple come up there. They look quite fun.
Simon Oakes it says Keith Hackett had a Wednesday Dar rant about the current handball rule at an event I was at a couple of weeks ago. He says PGMOL have completely lost the plot. And then Matt Strickland says Hackett also said Brown should have stopped play after the Pompey defender went down. Shit, doesn't he?
I tell you what, I love Keith Hackett because he just talks about things from 40 years ago and goes, back in my day would have done this. Oh, brilliant, right? And I love the term. I love the way that Simon Oates gone with Wednesday Dar. And this is the most Wendy Dar lineup that we can do on this podcast, isn't it? It's middle-aged white men go, boys and girls. Here we go.
Is the fact that the handball rule will have changed about 136 times in the space of when Keith Hackett is retired. So, I mean, has he kept up with the rules? I don't know. I don't know the guy. But
can you imagine him sat there in his conservative going, "Oh, well, they've changed the handball rule." Nah, you're just here for likes and clicks like the rest of us hackers. Don't come in here. So anyway, 1-1 after the penalty, and then at half time, Stefan made like a triple sub, didn't he? Like he absolutely went for it, Ash. He's gone, nah, I'm not having this. We're great. We're brilliant. We got 3 on the bounce. And they made a triple sub at half time. That's bold, isn't it?
It is. I don't think he was happy, obviously, with going in 1-0 down. So he made the change. And the only play I noticed it because he looked like a man mounting that fray.
He's brilliant, isn't he? Look at him. He's he's got their ball that he knew you.
Yeah, he has, but still with about another 5 stone on him because he was a big lad. And then I noticed it, and I think he scored against us last season, didn't he? I think he was one that scored against us.
There's a lad that Hallam have got playing for them called Danny South, who we nicknamed the QPR player Danny South because he has a similar build and completely bald. But at Hallam, there's obviously a slope on the pitch. So when they're attacking, when they're playing downhill, he plays up front, and then when they're playing uphill, he plays as centre back.
So he's just got the same stretch of pitch that he plays on.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, but he's a great player. But they brought a couple of big lads on, some big stags, and we went very direct in the second half.
They have a small pitch at QPR, and you can see why they've got that in their arsenal. Do you know what I mean? I just don't know if playing that type of football at Hillsborough would work, which is why I always fancy QPR when they come to Hillsborough, because I feel that they don't play fast-flowing, expansive football. They play, we've got a small ground, dig one out football, blood, sweat and tears, blood and thunder football, don't they? All right, and John, so go on.
Sorry, Dan. They brought on, if anyone can remember, the Karamoko Dembele at half time. He was like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago, he was the 14, 15-year-old that were playing for Celtic and I think he got his Scottish under 21 debut when he was 12 and stuff like that. So
weren't we linked with him?
We were.
Yeah,
We've already signed for QPR when we could sign players, of course. Yeah. So he came on, and another guy who was linked with Sheffield Wednesday, Isaac Hayden as well. He was linked in the same vein as like Hendricks. I think he was before Hendricks, and obviously we got the better deal out of that, didn't we? With Jeff Hendricks.
I love that. The here's what you could have won approach. You know what I mean? That's quite fun. Right then.
Yeah, 1-0 down. You bring 3 on, don't you? So there you go.
Yeah, what an odd one. That's going for it. I kind of like to see that in managers. You know what I mean? That's all right. And then not a lot happened. And then, John, a lot of people started to turn on the referee more in this second half. Said he had a poor game. I mean, did the penalty shout not curry any favour at Hillsborough? Probably a lot to do with that. But the referee came under some scrutiny in the second half, didn't he?
Yeah, and rightly so. To say he was ex-Premier League, which doesn't mean a lot these days, because if they're poor refs, they just drop them down the leagues, don't they? So heaven knows what League Two's like. It must be like fisticuffs every week, because I mean, some of these decisions are quite baffling. But the two that really rubbed me up the wrong way is the ones where he didn't let the advantage play. There were a couple of instances where it's like it's basic refereeing. It's like I remember, Barry Davis used to say, "Oh, the referees brought the player back there because the advantage didn't accrue." And I'm like, "What's this guy doing?" He's like, "Why? The ball run forward for us in a great attacking position. I think it was both times down our right hand side, and he blows up to pull it back for a free kick." And I just think that is just a basic refereeing error, and I don't know how somebody from the Premier League can get that so wrong. And I think, and we'll also come on to talk about the should he or shouldn't he have gone with a Barry Bannon incident. And I think because of one or two things he'd got wrong, I think he tried to level some things up, which we can come on to later. But yeah, disappointing, particularly those advantages they didn't let go.
I find that an absolutely fascinating thing that they do with the PGMOL, where they go, "Oh, you've been trashed this week, so you get to go and referee more football somewhere else." I just feel like it, you know what I mean? How is that a punishment? You know what I mean? I just think it's a bit. I feel like it treats us like a poor relation, but football's football. They're still getting paid. They're still refereeing. What do you mean? What are you talking about? And then Simon, just to wrap this up, there was a couple of late chances. I feel like Chair had one, didn't he? Who's still playing football. I don't know how that's gone out. And then I think, what was the one where Palmer went down in the box? I feel like he should have stayed on his feet and just shuffled that home.
Yeah, I don't really remember that one that well. I think we had a couple of chances. It was
it was a free kick. It was a free kick from outside the area. Instead of Bannon putting his left foot through it and getting to the back post, he played a little sneaky one off the training ground into the box on the ground. Yeah. Palmer should have buried it. It was a proper miss. He should have done a hell of a lot better. And I think if we'd have got that, I think we'd have gone on and obviously kept the 3 points, because I don't think QPR really bothered us that much after. No. I don't think Horvath really had that much to do in the end, and it should have been a 3 points. I was quite disappointed.
I think. Okay. So I was just sorry, Dan. I was just going to say, I think they came at us blood and thunder, didn't they? Which led to the penalty shout, which they got in the first 5-10 minutes, second half. And then after that, we took control again. And we looked, in my opinion, in control. They never really bothered us that much. And that was the positive I took out of the game, because I really did think at the start that they would be the team that would come out on top, basically. So, and I think we gave a really good assessment ourselves. And I think there was a lot of positives to take.
Yeah, there's a desire from this team that I'm really starting to enjoy. A real dig deep that I really enjoy. But anyway, Sheffield Wednesday. Oh, go on, I'll wrap this game up this side of Christmas.
We're talking. We're here to review the game, Daniel.
I'm here to talk to Alex Miller to talk to me about newspaper things, and he's waiting in the wings. Stick around for that later.
Sorry. I do apologise. Apologies. No, you're all right. No, crack on.
That was worth interrupting me. That Ash. Thanks a lot for that interaction there, mate. So, ladies and gents, we've got Alex Miller joining us from the Sheffield Star right after this break. That was a quick one, wasn't it? But I was trying to drastically edit what was going on the screen, because I'm really struggling with trying to get 5 people on the screen. So what I'm going to try and do is talk while that's happening. Ash, can you pad for me? Can you go through some comments while I try and get Alex onto the screen?
Of course I will, Danny. Anything for you, you know that.
Thanks, man.
One of our creative partners, Goose Creative Design, has been on. He didn't realise Simon went down to Hallam. He'll keep an eye out for you next time. He helps out with the media team.
I'll look out for you, mate. Yeah, no problem.
handsome bald guy in his little picture there. Look, Simon, just
Very handsome.
Yeah,
He's a good
of
cat.
course.
He's a good cat.
Good lad.
So, as promised, ladies and gentlemen, I've got Mr. Alex Miller from the Sheffield Star joining us this evening. My apologies for not being ready for you, Alex. How are you? You all right? How's the how's your week off, mate? All right? Not much happening.
It was good. Much needed, rest and relaxation. Basically on the piss for a week in Cyprus at a mate's wedding. So I think I've come back more exhausted than a summer with Sheffield Wednesday. But yeah, no, raring to go.
Is it one of them stag do's where you've come back and you need a holiday to recover from it?
Well, this is the thing. It wasn't a stag do. It was a wedding.
Right.
So we thought there might be a bit of, lounging by the pool time either side of it. The issue was that it was an old schoolmate, and there was about half a dozen of us that went out there without our wives and children. So
you're off your head, man. Kidding yourself, man. You're kidding yourself. Okay, so Alex, listen, the reason I've got you on this evening is to obviously talk about the bad thing, and you're a lot more measured than I. So what I wanted to do was just try and, I know you put out an article of about 3 hours reference to the well, there was some non-payment of personnel that's been announced. Is that right? I mean, forgive me for paraphrasing.
Yeah, not quite announced. I think the issue is that we're all, and I say we all, not as reporters or media, whatever. I think the whole sort of Sheffield Wednesday entity, we're on this constant sort of month cycle, aren't we, building up to paydays, and I've been for 7 months now, is it? Which isn't a great deal of fun, but obviously in the days leading up to payday, there tends to be some sort of either verbal communication or sort of correspondence from figures within the club towards players and people around the changing room, technical staff, backroom staff, this sort of thing, and also to your sort of everyday non-footballing staff as to whether they're going to get paid, which has sort of become, as I say, part of the news cycle. And it's almost become more surprising when people are paid, which is sort of the way that Sheffield Wednesday are operating in the minute. But anyway, clearly payday is the last day of the month, that being tomorrow. And our understanding is that players have been advised not to expect payment tomorrow. Non-footballing employees are expecting £1,000 of their salary, which is obviously below full payment, and haven't been given an indication as to when to expect that payment, purely because the information isn't there from the very top and the man that ultimately holds the purse string. So another regrettable end of the month, and we'll all be hoping that things get sorted out as soon as possible for the individuals involved.
I think that one question that's going to circulate for me and probably a number of other people is, I feel like we're going to get blamed for this at some point. I feel like from the top of the club, there's going to be, this is your fault. And then do you feel like redundancies might be down the line, things like that? Have you had a whisper or anything like that? I appreciate I've just stitched you right up live on the internet and asking you such a direct question, but it's just one of them that's just, there's a few things that don't sit right with me, right? So, for example, there's the Pound in the Ground initiative that we've now got kiosks closed, right? Now, these will be casual staff that work for an agency. On the back of that, right, there will be the agency will find them other work, maybe, you know what I mean? There's an element of that, or they can claim working tax credit and all the, and if that's their main source of income, right? I understand that, and I appreciate that there will be some collateral damage from the trust. So this isn't me having a dig at that initiative, right? What I feel is that the shop and the ticket sales generate the most of the funds. And are we spinning the drain a little bit for Chancery to go, because you've not spent money? I tell you why I'm asking. You know where I'm going with that question, but I can tell you why I'm asking. I saw a couple of tweets today saying that that somebody who works at the club were lambasting the trust and what they were doing because it's costing them work. Did you know what I mean? I appreciate that's a tough question, Alex, and I know I've farted around the poo and danced around the houses in asking it to you, but do you feel like that there are worse times to come in terms of employment for the non-playing team?
Yeah, look, it remains to be seen, and I remember at the very start of the planned boycott, way back when it was shirts initially, wasn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Sort of put that question to the guys at the trust, and I think it was sort of, they were very aware of it, and regretted. It's a natural thing. You take money out of a business, and people who get paid by that business, clearly it's going to be more difficult to pay them.
Yeah.
And yeah, look, we'll I think it's natural that's going to happen. Now, I did see pictures again. I wasn't there on Saturday, but I've noticed it in previous games that some of the kiosks have been closed. And
yeah,
I know that you've touched on this before on the show.
Yeah,
about concerns of agency staff and that sort of thing. It would be interesting to hear from some of the staff, and without having a look at the accounts, because we don't know how much money, if any, the chairman is putting in Sheffield Wednesday currently.
That's interesting. Sorry, Alex. My apologies. I absolutely chucked you under the shit there, didn't I?
No. It's a difficult question to answer without having access to the accounts.
Without having access to the figures, because I tell you what I floated before is obviously how much do the pies and pints actually generate in terms of actually bottom line profit. Working in hospitality myself, I think the message is outstanding, but in terms of procurement, refuse, tax, poor GP because we're up north, and how much things cost, and then the national insurance contributions and all the rest of it, and the agency staff on top. I wonder how much we're financially costing the club. I'd love to have a pick at the books, if I'm honest. I really would. But the message is loud and clear, and I really do like that. What I won't stand for is other fans calling other fans out for being scabs, and I can't believe it. And that scarf's not just a fashion accessory. There's gonna, you know what I mean. I don't know if you caught the call that the WSG set up. With Christine Seddon from the Blackpool Trust, and she spoke really well about making sure that we were on the right side of the law, and we were on the right side of the tracks, and we were making sure that we weren't calling out everybody. People will follow when you're doing the right thing, and I want to implore everybody to make sure that we're doing the right thing, and that's a long way round of going as well. The "I Don't Care About Dapon" song is not broadcastable, folks. You know what I mean? Alex and I had a good chat about it down in London, and we were like, we can't. It's a catchy song, and I find myself singing it. I even find myself singing it in the way that Rob Statten would pronounce it, in Dejfon, because I find that really funny. But the addendums that we put in the beat breaks, we can't broadcast it. We can't write about it. We can't talk about it.
Dan, sorry.
You sort of allude to it in, when you're writing about it.
Yeah.
And there's certain unbroadcastable words, but we can't plaster those ones all over social media, which is that's the one that I think has got the most passion behind it. Dan, just to I sort of duck that question about the realities for the staff, and it is something that we're putting a bit of energy into now, because it's very difficult, isn't it, when there's often a lot of narratives to these things, and there's actually some different truths behind it, and different experiences from people that are at the heart of it. So from the Stars' point of view, we're sort of putting a bit of energy into trying to make sure that everybody's voice is heard on that sort of thing. So if we're able to do that, you'll see some reports on that, hopefully in the next couple of weeks.
I trust you guys to do that, because I don't feel that there would be any ulterior motive from the Star. You become an outlet that I trust, and I will call anybody out, Alex. I will absolutely say some things on the internet. Go on, John, you were going to say something.
Yeah, I was just going to ask Alex. Obviously, we know all about the financial troubles, and yet again, we're getting a repeat message here about staff and players not being paid. But we also know there's a looming charge on the stadium due in the next sort of 24 hours, maybe. And I wonder if there's any sort of thought about what that might look like going forward. Have you heard anything about that, or what you might expect to be, finding out in the coming day or two?
Yeah, again, something we're doing a bit of plate spinning at the minute, but trying to find out exactly what the route is there is really difficult, because ultimately there will probably be 2 or 3 people, at the very top will know exactly what's going to happen, and it can change. So the story that we ran 2 or 3 weeks ago, sort of explaining exactly what the situation was, I appreciate it probably read a little bit woolly, because it was, you can't sort of talk in absolutes exactly what's going to happen. The fact that the information that we had and continue to have is that it's not quite the lender, but the people who sort of own the debt signalled an intention to Sheffield Wednesday that some of that debt would need to be recalled, and that date is tomorrow. There's a grace period beyond that, but what was made clear in that story, and as I say, continues to be our understanding, is that decision can be reversed at any time. So that there's a million permutations on what can happen if the club are not able to pay that, and different ways that the let's just call it the lender for the sake of ease, could enact or enforce action beyond that.
What would that action look like?
Well, this is it. That
if the permutations, you know what I mean? I appreciate that. How long's a piece of string and all the rest of it, but what sort of thing could we expect if these permutations go ahead? I know again that's a bit of a fluffy question.
No, I'm with you.
Some examples, I guess.
Yeah. Look, and I'll make very clear, I'm not talking absolutes, and I'm also not talking from a place of expertise. But I've spoken to plenty of people who are a lot cleverer than me and understand this sort of stuff. So
I was going to say the stuff that you and Joe have had to learn about the last 2 years has probably been incredible, hasn't it?
All I can do is man kicks ball in goal. That's sort of yeah. So look, right. I'll compare it to. So when Sheffield Wednesday done a naughty, and the possible sanctions range from being expelled from the league to points deduction to a fine and a slap on the wrist.
Right.
All these things are possible, but it's very rarely.
And all of that, just to clarify then, before I sit here and go, it's a way to week exclusive, we're going to get expelled from the league. Like, you know what I mean? But there was a joke, ladies and gentlemen. That was a joke. That was a joke.
That was just sort of an example.
So all of these, what I mean is all of these permutations are not in the hands of the chairman. They're in the hands of who he owes money to.
As long as he enforces that. So
good Lord.
What could happen ultimately is that, for want of a better word, everyone bottles it and it's rolled over again with interest.
Right.
Or it can be repackaged in a certain way. So it's pay this amount up front, or your interest rate goes up a bit and we roll it over again, or we do this, that, and the other. The most stringent enforcement that could be in place is that they take ownership of the stadium, essentially. There is a way, and I'd have to go over my notes and speak to people again to give you the exact wording and stuff, that essentially the receivers come in for the club at the same time as the stadium, so that could be sold as one,
right,
for a price of the lender's choosing, which you'd imagine would be a hell of a lot lower than that of the chairman, but that's a hell of a lot of work and taking on a crumbling football stadium in the period before that's sold, which becomes very, very confusing and difficult, and from a pure business risk element, probably doesn't make that much sense. I mean, look, without having a direct line to the lender, and we've tried, but for obvious reasons, they're not being particularly responsive. It's very difficult to get a firm grip of exactly what could happen. So yeah, that's probably not the clarity that you and your listeners are looking for.
No, I tell you what it is. I needed to just get some I don't know, some noise on it. I don't chase headlines because I don't like it. I want to keep this show light, but I also feel that there's an element of some things that we need to be prepared for. I mean, you know, when Dom Howson handed you the keys and you just writing about football. Do you remember them days? Do you remember?
For a little bit there, it was quite good, yeah.
Simon Ash, do you have any questions for Alex?
Yeah, I've got one. It's just about the wages. Obviously, for the last few times, it's always been 48 hours, 72 hours before the end of the month that things are coming out about the wages not being paid or in full. Is it that late all the time? Because surely the guy must know that he needs to find £1 to £1.5 million a month to satisfy the wages. But to announce it, or you guys obviously find out, I think it was Rob today, weren't it, that actually put it out, that it's the part wages or no wages are going to come. Why is it always so late? He must know. I think that's what gets a lot of fans into, and no doubt the people who deserve the wages. That it's, I what think, your debts are a month.
Well, initially, you know, the start of this mess for the first, I wouldn't put a number to it, but the first couple of months here or there, there wasn't any notice. And you know, employees and players were waking up in the morning to discover they haven't been paid. The notice and the correspondence, which I would credit, you know, that this correspondence isn't coming from Chancery. This is coming from people within the club who are probably in exactly the same situation that people are sending it to, and are working on very limited information. So, you know, we've had a few comments in the past where, you know, that the staff at the club have been criticised for this, and that's not fair. You know, that they're doing their damnedest in very difficult circumstances. But there's two things. I think, you know, I guess any business would leave it as long as they possibly could. You know, we know that Chancery's been trying to raise funds throughout the month. Some of those methods sound a bit nuts, but you know, this is Sheffield Wednesday we're talking about. So, you know, from his point of view, I guess telling everyone five days ago, you know, he could have rolled over and some money would have come in, I guess. But the second thing I'd say is, you know, certainly people within the club, they do have conversations with whoever it might be, line managers or senior management staff, and there is sort of a growing understanding that there is indications given throughout the month as to what may or may not be possible, and then when it becomes official later in the month, that's you know, when we're in a position to relay this sort of thing. But yeah, it's just miserable. You know, it's hearing, you know, some of the stories of people that are involved down there, and you know, the point's been made 1,000 times. The fact that footballers are, you know, very well paid, and when it happens again and again and again, you know, that you cut your cloth accordingly. You've got, you know, some players, I imagine, I'm guessing, you know, will have business interests where the money comes in, the money goes out, and that's what they're taught to do. The PFA and all this sort of stuff, that, you know, you're taught to reinvest the money that you make in what is a short career. So that's one thing, and it's not the point of, you know, footballers are fine, aren't they? And the tea ladies and receptionists and all the rest of it aren't. But, you know, for this to happen again and again and again for, you know, normal working class people, and so many of them are Sheffield Wednesday fans, and that's the reason that they work there, and that's the reason that they've worked there so long. It's become a really depressing and horrible, you know, reality to cover, and I think it's important that no one becomes desensitized to it, because it has reflected in the number. You know, we see the number of people that are reading the stories and stuff, and the story that we did today didn't, you know, cause much of a ripple, and I think that's a reflection of people go, oh, it's happened again, and you know, that's a dangerous place to be in.
Yeah, there was 1 month where everybody did get paid. I think the EFL money had come in or something like that. The league money had come
last
in.
month everyone got
Yeah, and Joe had to release an article saying everybody paid. You know what I mean? And that to me is insanity. Before I move on, Simon, John, do you want to ask him? Do you want to ask any more questions? While we just sit and roast Alex live on the internet for unprepared.
Alex, I was going to ask you a question about the EFL because it's been brought up a few times in the chat. Obviously, the EFL put out a statement a while ago. I think it was at the start of August, what they were trying to do in regards to sort of forcing Chansiri's hand. They'd worked with the Sheffield Wednesday Trust, Sports Trust, and also the Women's Supporters Group in regards to approaching the EFL and then the EFL approaching the club to say that they were working towards trying to force him out of the club. And that's gone very quiet. And what we've seen this week is we've now under 5 embargoes, all of which has basically meant that they see the club has no funds to actually make the club a viable club for anybody to sign for them. Hence why we can't sign any players, etc. We've got an HMRC embargo. Have you heard anything in regards to, from that original statement, that the EFL are starting to put pressure on Chansiri, other than what in effect are embargoes that are actually hurting we fans because we can't sign anybody and not actually hurting the individual?
Yeah, I mean, it's. I feel I do have this won't be popular. I've got a great deal of sympathy for the EFL in a situation like this, because on the face of it, yes, and of course, making the club more difficult to run for Dayfon Chansiri goes hand in hand with making it more difficult to watch and all the rest of it for the supporters. And to an extent, it's almost. God, it sounds cold. This, but it's all it's collateral damage for the greater good, and that they are. In my mind, this is an opinion. This isn't something that anyone involved at the EFL has relayed to me. I think they're a bit hamstrung by their own rules and regulations, in that they're written up by the clubs, and ergo the people that run the clubs. And so, they're, if you're going to take it to extremes, there's not a club owner in the country that's going to sign off on a ruling whereby, if they have business troubles for 2, 3, 4 months, that their biggest asset can be taken away from them. Essentially, that's what is being asked here. That a body with no governmental power or anything like that is given the power to walk into what is a private business and take the ownership away from that. And so, yeah, that obviously that is very, very, very difficult. The ongoing charges are there, and as I say, are ongoing. Again, this is entirely opinion, but I would suggest the fact that is taking so long after a lot of meetings between the EFL and Wednesday with regard to a takeover process and trying to set that up in a way that it was viable and might work. I would suggest that the fact that that's going on so long might have something to do with the fact that they want to encourage a takeover rather than effectively make Wednesday a League One club right here and right now. But yeah, beyond that, it's quite difficult. Everyone's obviously looking to the IFR, which is coming in a couple of months' time. I think that will be slow progress in terms of getting that in and getting it to a place where it can start.
Yeah, I think a lot of Wednesday fans have kind of got that on a pedestal. Like it's gonna be day one, IFL starts, and then the geezer will go, right, you clown, you're done here. Here's Alan Millionaire. You've got to sell it to him. I feel like a lot of people are kind of hanging their hat a little bit on this IFR.
Yeah, I feel a little bit uncomfortable with that. And again, look, there's people that are far more well versed in this. We've heard a lot from Lisa Nandy and Clive Betts has spoken a lot about it and this sort of thing. I'd like to see when it is in place, and it, as you say, it won't be a day one. This is what's happening. Chansiri's out the door sort of thing. But in practice, again, speaking to a couple of people that know their laws on this sort of thing, that there's a little bit of, well, how's this going to work? Because you've sort of got independent, it may be, but a governmental body sort of coming in and taking a business off someone without any legal wrongdoing. I don't know. I'm not skeptical. I'm just not quite as excited as some people appear to be, and look, we'll see.
I'm the same with that.
It's not going to be the silver bullet, is it? It's not going to be the. I think the thing is that they will be so tied up in red tape and bureaucracy that the club could be dead before they actually make a decision on how it's going to be put forward, because we're going to have a point in January where season ticket sales, because obviously our chairman will just blindly carry on like he's always done, and season ticket sales will be released in January. And I honestly see that there'll be a lot of people, a fair percentage, that won't renew. And then we'll have an issue then of, if these youngsters keep improving like they are, we'll see a fire sale of people like Brown and Weaver and so on and so forth, which will, again, reduce the strength of the team. And also, we won't be able to sign anyone. So it'd just be this ever-decreasing circles of no money coming in, season tickets. I mean, I think we were talking earlier on, weren't we, about, how much income that maybe the food outlets bring in, but we've not mentioned the fact that nobody's buying tickets. You look.
That's the one that's going to hit him the hardest.
Yeah, you look across that stadium. I mean, they've said last two home games have been over 20,000, which I think is creative accounting at best. The Kop, I've not seen the Kop so empty as I, and there's swathes of empty seats around us, and it's, I'd imagine anybody who sits in the north stand, the Kop, south stand, I'm in the grandstand. It's obvious that nobody's coming other than the season tickets and a handful of other people. Okay,
let's go to something. I was going to say a little lighter. It's still the bad stuff, but let's talk about the owl after this.
Don't skip ahead, don't press that button. These ads are lean, not belly mutton. A tiny break before we pop, and don't forget when fun stop.
Okay, so welcome back. There was a brief moment where it was kind of fun and we kind of looked at it, and then the more you really think about it as a situation, it's more of the bad thing. So as we saw on the pitch at the early part of the game, there was an addition that Barney Owl had made to his outfit in the preamble that him and Ozzy have done for 2 decades and more. I know Ozzy was there when I was a teenager, right? But Barney's been there for 20 years, and he was there, and he's known for wrapping scarves around his wrists, and one of those scarves was one of the protest scarves from the trust, and it gained a bit of traction online. I know we shared it, didn't we, Ash? And and it was a really great hard hitting message. And then afterwards, after we'd shared it, Barney via his X account had made a statement. And this it was all quite fun and games. Like, look at Barney, well done, kid. And then once this statement had come out, it kind of changed the tack a little bit, didn't it? So I'll read it to you. I hope I don't truncate it too much, but I'm going to have to blast through this. But it was Barney had said a statement: "I'm a fan first and employee second. This is my 20th season working for the club, and I started when I was 18 years old. I stand with the fans. Without them, there's no Sheffield Wednesday. I'm match day staff only, paid the same as the stewards. I've had no pay shows personally so far, but I don't do this for the money. I do it for the fans and the badge. Since this isn't my main job, I'm in a position where I can speak out. Many others aren't. Please continue to show empathy and respect for all staff who can't." Wonderful point, by the way. It's been difficult watching dedicated colleagues grow demoralised by the silence. Lack of clear communication about their pay roles and the club's future is taking a real toll. Like many others, I believe in changing ownership, the only way to safeguard the long-term future of the club and the immediate short-term stability of the staff who work here. Again, wonderful. As it says in my bio, these are my views and not the views of Sheffield Wednesday Football Club. My views and actions are independent of the club and any supporters, groups or trusts. Up the Owls. If that owl told me to run through a brick wall or jump off a cliff after that state, honestly, I'm in. I thought that was wonderful. I thought the public statement of it, Simon. I thought that the sharing of it and the piece there around the short-term stability of the staff who work there. I thought it was so well worded. It was wonderful.
Yeah, it was, and also I don't know whether anybody heard Barry Bannon's interview on TalkSport, I think it was earlier this week. And he as well spent some time talking about, he sort of brushed aside the non-payment of wages for the players and made it about the staff at the football club. And that's what we have got to remember, that there are people there who are like you and I, who, make the monthly salary stretch as long as we possibly can to pay the
give it a good
mortgage.
go.
And yeah, absolutely. And I know for a fact I've got some friends who've got friends who work there, and there are single mums, single dads, people trying to put meals on the table, and these people are not getting paid. And the payment of £1,000 seems a lot of money, but most mortgages are £700-900 before you've even, paid for the electric and the gas and your food. So we've got to remember that there are people working at that stadium who turn up every day and are not getting paid, and have turned up since this happened and started in summer, and they've kept going and they've kept working, etc.
We've had nothing obviously from staff or anything. So I think this first thing from a mascot of high standing with the fans and all the kids and everything, actually showing the first sign of any sort of backing of any movement or against what literally is his employer at the top. Obviously, he won't have anything to do with the mascots and things, but I thought it was fantastic that one of the mascots has come out and not made anything of it, just turned up, did the usual routine, waving like Dan said and all that, and then not be quiet about it, and then do release a statement or a few tweets, no pun intended, from Owl on Twitter. I thought it was fantastic myself, and more power to anybody. And if it takes somebody who is behind a costume, and probably a lot of fans don't know who it is, to speak out, then more for any staff member that wants to do that. And I think coming from very visual match day mascot was fantastic, and more power to that individual.
I think it will be very interesting to see if he's there for the next game, isn't it, John?
Yeah, I'm just going to say, I think, when you're breaking Mickey Mouse, things are bad, don't you? I mean, obviously, everyone's just getting fed up. It's a situation that just can't go on. You've got people at the end of the tether now, at the end of the limits. You've got, Bannon's already spoke out. I think Pedersen has, encouraged people to get things off the chest. He understands that it's a terrible situation that we're in. And the worst feeling for everybody, fans, staff, players alike, but more so the fans and the staff, is this feeling, this hopelessness. It's like a hopelessness feeling where you're powerless to do anything about it, and we just can't. We're the victims as much as anyone, because we just sat here and there's nothing we can do other than these protests, and fair play to them. I support the guys doing that, but it's one guy thousands of miles away. We don't even know if he sees any of this, because we don't get. It's just complete radio silence, and it has been since March.
I think one thing as well we need to bring up, which has been going on for some while, is the amazing music choice by the DJ at halftime, and this has been going on for some while. And then obviously, I think the other week he played "I Predict a Riot," and we got Mambo No. 5, which is obviously there was some memes and some pictures on Saturday morning with Embargo No. 5, I think it was, wasn't it? And that was actually played at halftime. So well done to the DJ, whoever you are absolutely amazing.
I think the word is starting to get round a little bit, and because of this, this gallows humor, this outpouring of information that we're getting, that you guys, that you and yourself and Joe are doing, Alex, really well. I feel like there's going to be more that join the process and go on with it as they start to learn more about it, because I feel like what will garner people is information. I think I touched upon it last week that when the trust launched, it was very much. Not the trust, sorry, my apologies. I need to make sure that's correct. When the 1867 group launched, it was very much, trust me, this has gone to bits. Trust me, follow me, because it's a shambles. And they couldn't really say too much. And it's only in the last 6 months as a lot of the information that they were privy to has started to come out. And I understood why they went, why they were getting so frustrated. I really did, because they had to do it on a level of trust. Now this information's coming out, a lot more people are following them. That's kind of where you guys sit in it, right?
Yeah, I think so. Everyone's got a role to play, and like you say, look, I hope we're doing our bit. It's outside of the football reporting. It's a funny feeling at the minute, because you're doing press conferences and doing games, and that's usually the most important part of your job. And it's just not. Do
you remember them days, Alex? Do you remember them?
Like I say this completely genuinely. It's felt, particularly the pre-match press conference, because it's a long chat with the manager and stuff, and that stuff is important. The football stuff, but it just feels so vacuous, and you're working on other stuff in the background that it actually impacts people's lives, and not that the result of a football game doesn't, but obviously everything becomes relative, doesn't it? So
yeah, it's gone further than having the mug on at a 1-0 loss against Forest Green. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just still angry about it. I know. Honestly, it's like,
how dare you?
Bringing it up just gives him PTSD about that hill that he had to walk up. Ashley, before I wrap this up, my brother, do you want to tell us about the collection, please?
Yeah, I will do. But just before I do that, I just don't know if he showed this. We've had. I'm assuming it's from Alex's boss. The great thing with Barnett is that he's untouchable. It's win-win, because if anything was to happen to him now, then it sends an even bigger message than when he's already, which you touched on, Dan. Obviously, be interesting to see if he turns up for his shift on Saturday afternoon. But yeah,
I love it.
Yeah,
I'd like to make a point on that. Joe Cran is not my chuffing boss.
You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Wednesday week exclusive. There's going to be a chalk circle in the car park next week, and we're going to find out who's the winner.
Well, Joe's sunning himself, no doubt, in his back garden pool that he's got, and Alex is talking to us. So who's winning there, Alex?
Exactly. Let me stop for a second.
Yeah. Cheers. So, yeah, apologies, Alex. We get you on.
I'm joking, man. I'm joking.
Dan has to go at you. He might. Obviously, we've been asking about some donations for our friends at Pact over the last few home games. They're going fantastically well. Went into the shop, not to buy anything, but obviously just to check on what donations we've got. And a big shout out to the staff there. They've helped us massively with this. They've sorted it all out and put it all into storage for us. So we've had quite a lot of donations. So please, Saturday's the last donation match. So if you're passing the shop, please donate any toiletries, shampoos, flannels, that deodorants, that sort of stuff. It'd been much appreciated. Thank you very much.
And thank you for joining us tonight, Alex. It's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you to John, Simon, and Ash. And don't forget to like and subscribe. I've got to say that now, and I always feel like a right bell when I do it. But don't forget to press like and subscribe. Now, also, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to ask you for another favour as well. I'm a little later than I promised, but Punk Chef has gone live on YouTube as well. If you don't mind, he made a point of making sure not to go on till 9 o'clock, so we didn't clash. Bless him. So I thought I'd push everybody over there. Now we're winding this up. Thanks a lot to you lot for joining us. I'll join you on Punk Chef's feed in about 2 or 3 minutes. Thanks a lot. See you later.
Every week, live from 8 p.m. It's the Wednesday week. bringing you football analysis,
But he said we'll win the league next season.
bringing you modern references.
I did a little 1920s fist pump there. Not done that in a while.
If we could do just a 1-to-1, not me because it'd last 7 days apparently, like Craig David.
I should not have said that. I should not have said that.
This shows like you're mental. No, I'm not.
Clip that.
Bringing you terrible impressions.
Wibble wobble wobbly wobbly wibble wobble Cyber Jordan. When hey, you got to play a 4-4-2. She.
I don't know where these jokes are coming from.
Available on all social medias.
Obviously, this goes out on YouTube and as well as all the other social media out there, podcasts, etc.
The award-winning Wednesday week. Join us.
Put on your pod